Welcome to the Knakal News Network. Knakal News Network is brought to you by Massey Knakal Realty Services, New York's #1 building sales firm.
Hi, I'm Jon Hageman, Sales Team Manager from Massey Knakal. Welcome to the Knakal News Network. Today I'm here with Bob Knakal, Chairman of Massey Knakal. Bob, I've sat next to you now for over 11 years, and a lot of the times I've heard people come up to you and ask you, what do you read during the week to stay on top of the market?
Right, Hags, I think reading is a very, very important part of any business career. It's important to stay on top of trends, what's happening in the marketplace, and you can learn so much by benefiting from the experience that other folks have had who write articles, books, et cetera, et cetera.
So in addition to market trends, what are some of the other things you get out of the reading you do?
But one of the things that I think business people benefit from very significantly, particularly if you're in a service business, is psychology. And if you think about it, we all are in an environment where we're trying to flip a switch inside a client's head. Anyone who is involved in the transactional aspect of our business is really a salesperson in one way or another. I think that those of us who are in the service business, and particularly in the real estate business, can benefit tremendously from studying, reading, learning more, because we don't sell widgets. One share of GM stock is the same whether you buy it from one broker or another. But buildings are very, very different. We always say that if you have a 100,000 square foot building on the north side of the street and a 100,000 square foot building built at the same time, the same materials on the south side of the street, those two buildings can have very, very different values. And unless you're really on top of the market, you might not get why those values can be so different.
So Bob, at what point in your career did you realize this was something important that you should be focusing on?
Well, one of my mentors in the business is Steve Siegel, who's the global head of brokerage for CBRE. And I remember talking to Steve a couple of decades ago, and he told me that he was a voracious reader. And he read as much as he possibly could because it helped give him a perspective on things. And ever since that time, I've tried to kind of follow in his footsteps, reading as much as I could to become aware of things that could help me in my day-to-day job selling buildings.
Bob, one of the things you always say is that we're not in the commercial real estate business. Can you tell us what you mean by that?
Yeah, we always say that. And that's one of the reasons why we started our territory system the way we did, is because of the realization that we're really not in the commercial real estate business, we're in the information business. And because we are in the information business, the more information you have, the more of an advantage you have.
What are some of the things that you're reading every week?
Well, certainly I read the newspaper pretty regularly. The Wall Street Journal and the Post are at the top of my list, although I do read the Times and the Daily News. And then there are all the trade publications that provide so much great information. And I'm reluctant to name them because I know I'm going to forget somebody, but the Real Estate Weekly, the Commercial Observer, the Real Deal, the Real Estate Forum, Real Estate Alert, and there are so many more great trade publications to read. I think all of those things are very, very important, but I've often said that the relationship between politics, economics, and real estate has never been more closely aligned since the Great Recession. And so that's why I think newspapers are particularly important.
You're also always reading books. Tell us about some of your favorites.
Oh, there are a lot of great ones. And as a Wharton alum, I love to read books by Richard Schell, who was a Wharton professor that writes some great stuff. But there are a lot of great books. Some of my favorites include Getting Things Done by David Allen, The 4-Hour Work Week by Tim Ferriss, The Power of Positive Thinking, Never Eat Alone, Keith Ferrazzi, that's a great book, Bargaining for Advantage and The Art of Woo, both by Richard Schell, The Power of a Positive No by Bill Urey, Negotiate This by Herb Cohen, and The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey.
So Bob, it sounds like the reading really gives you a well-rounded perspective about what's happening.
Yeah, and I think the key is that you have to find the balance between finding time. There's so many things we like to do in our lives, and between selling buildings and going to networking events and doing all the things we have to do, sometimes it's tough to fit it in. But I think it's important to find some time to read some things to help create a more well-rounded perspective on things. In summary, reading's a key ingredient in the life of a real estate professional. Newspapers and magazines provide insight into not only real estate, but economics and politics, which play a key role in the commercial real estate market. Trade publications are numerous and provide tremendous information to real estate professionals, and books are a way to understand the psychology of selling.
Thank you for joining us today. Tune in next week for another installment on the Knakal News Network.